I am Groot!
Well, hello Rivals fans, and welcome back to the Rivals Report, the show that gets you up to speed on Rivals esports news in a nice, bite-sized package. My name is Diatonic, and this is the Rivals Report number 14 for the week of September 1st, 2025. On this week's report, with Ignite Stage 2 just around the corner, we're previewing the teams who will be competing in Ignite for the very first time. We're also cluing you in on which matches to watch as Season 3 of the Marvel Rivals Championship reaches the final stages of play. The first week of VGL Season 3 Finals is in the books as well, and we've got a look at what went down. And finally, the Community Spotlight is back! This time we're introducing the champions of the UK University Esports Tournament. Well, it's almost time for Ignite to return with the Stage 2 regional tournaments. But before action gets underway, we want to help you get up to speed with the new and old faces that'll be playing on Rivals' biggest stage. We'll give you just a quick peek at the teams returning from Stage 1 and do some profiling on Ignite's newest teams. Starting with the Americas region, the top 8 teams from Stage 1 will be back in action, including the Stage 1 champs Sentinels. They'll be going through a bit of a roster shakeup, as will some other teams like Shroud X, whose roster wasn't re-signed, and Envy, who had some departures as well. The team formerly known as Ego Death has now changed their name and branding to Odyssey as well. From Open Qualifier 1, Dark Zero makes their way back onto the Ignite stage, along with Solaris and Ilani Win from Qualifier 2 as well. However, Solaris will be entering Ignite with a different coat of paint. Though they initially won the invitation under the Solaris banner, they parted ways shortly after qualifiers. Now, Rad Esports have announced they have signed the team earlier today as of the uploading of this video. Rad, of course, was home to the first ever Rivals World Champion team, and considering the Solaris squad themselves have had some success, there's certainly the potential for a winning formula here. While TechieXD was extended an invite to Stage 2 thanks to their performance in Stage 1, they have decided to bow out. Instead, they're offering their spot to the Dilducks, a team we covered during our Roster Mania reporting. The team consists of members like Haluk, who played previously for Luminosity, and Biblical, who's played with Shikigami in the past. They fell just short of qualifying themselves in the second split, falling victim to Solaris in the invitation deciding match. For new teams, let's first take a look at the champions of the Season 2 MRC, YFP. They were originally known as Cafe Noir at the time, but have recently signed with and now represent YFP. This team has been tearing it up in the community tournament scene, winning the inaugural season of the Rivals Ascension League, as well as clocking runner-up finishes in Season 2 of the VGL and Season 2 of the Rebirth circuit. Through those tournaments, they have some experience competing against Ignite teams, having already crossed paths with the likes of FlyQuest and Ilani Wind. Next up is the runners-up from the Season 2 MRC, Arrival 7. They'd tangled with Cafe Noir before meeting in the MRC finals, having fallen victim to them at the end of VGL Season 2. They weren't able to get revenge in the MRC, but they did well enough to qualify into Ignite. There's a pretty sizable question mark next to this team, however, as their roster's contracts expired just after the MRC, and the org has yet to announce a new roster. We'll be sure to update you regarding this roster when they announce any acquisitions. Moving on, let's talk about teams qualifying in from the first Open qualifiers. First up is Silly Cat Gaming, a relative newcomer team to the Rivals scene. Though they qualified through the first split of qualifiers as Silly Cat, they were recently signed by the Fire Strays, so they'll be flying that org's colors going into the Stage 2 tournament. Prior to their qualifying run, they'd really only been spotted in Season 2 of the VGL, as well as the finals of Season 0 of Battle of the Orgs. However, 2 of their players were previously competing in Stage 1 with Jobless Bums, British Tree, and Ben JD. Also from Open Qualifier 1, and a team we featured on the Rivals Report previously, Atlanta PXG, the team formerly known as Busy at Work, has not only made the jump from console to PC Rivals, but they've stunned a number of teams they've crossed paths with since the move. After winning 2 seasons worth of MRCs over on console, they've been tearing it up in the Rebirth circuit, the Rivals Ascension League, and Galactus Gauntlet. They talk big, but they certainly have the results to back a lot of it up. Rounding out the qualifiers from the first split, we have a team of familiar faces in Dreamland. This powerhouse squad is made up of players formerly of other Ignite caliber teams such as Citadel, Dark Zero, Busy at Work, and even Solaris. They're unsigned and still building chemistry amongst themselves, but they won the first split of qualifiers and have been dabbling in some community events as well, like the Cozyverse Cash Cup, where they recently defeated fellow Stage 2 competitor Odyssey. Over on the EMEA side of Ignite, the Stage 1 champs, now known as Citadel, are back in action for Stage 2 alongside their fellow playoff qualifiers. FaZe, a new team featured in our previous Roster Mania coverage, is also here, as they are the L9 roster acquired by FaZe. Virtus Pro, Zero Tenacity, Team Peps, All Business, and Insomnia round out the returner squads for EMEA Stage 2. Alcacia and OG Seed are also back in action thanks to the Open qualifiers, and the World Champion squad, now back under their Team 1 banner, is also here to try and keep their winning streak alive. One org bowing out on the EMEA side is Rad Esports. Now, not to worry, the midseason finals champion roster will be in Stage 2 as Team 1, but their previous org has chosen not to field another roster. In light of this, NetEase had Ninja Creamy and Revived play off against one another for the spot, as they were the 3rd and 4th place teams from the previous split of Open qualifiers. And with a clean sweep, it would be Ninja Creamy ascending to the upcoming Ignite stage. First up on the list are the EMEA Season 2 MRC champs Ex Oblivion. However, they announced earlier today that the org was actually parting ways with their rivals roster. Some of their core had already left to pursue other opportunities, and it's believed that the Stage 2 invite will remain with the players. That means while EXO won't be directly involved in fielding that roster, the players that fought their way in will still get to participate. The team they originally defeated, Chemistry, has decided to bow out of participating in Stage 2 as well. So in their place, Team Ulumulu will be stepping in. The Ulumulu roster is retaining CrossFit and Henkin from Chemistry, but adding in some talent previously seen competing with teams like Insomnia, OG, and Team Peps. They're also being coached by Max, who has prior experience with another top EMEA MRC team, Pluvia. 3 new teams managed to snag invites to Stage 2 during the first round of Open qualifiers, with the first of those teams being Chopped. Chopped consists of a few players that have experience with other Ignite competitors such as All Business, Team Peps, and Insomnia. Not much is known about this squad either, and as they appear to be fairly new, they could easily become one of the underdog forces much like their counterparts in Ulumulu. Next up, a familiar face for regular Rivals Report viewers, Dawncore also received an invite to Stage 2 from the first split of qualifiers. Though they've had a couple of departures and added some new faces, this team has been taking over the grassroots scene for several months now. With big wins in the Engage Grassroots Weekly and the Rivals Ascension League, it's not too surprising to see them here on Rivals' biggest stage. They've tangled with the likes of other Ignite teams before, such as Insomnia, and walked away the victors, so they're poised to pick up some wins in Stage 2. And rounding out the new teams from the Open qualifiers, Saudi Arabian squad Paradox joins the fray. There's not much info about them out there either, meaning EMEA certainly has a few unknown quantities with the element of surprise in their court. The Paradox joins other competitive Saudi Arabian teams like Think Twice and Quasar Esport in the competitive space. And that about covers it, at least for the Americas and EMEA. We'll also be introducing the new teams from Asia and Oceania on next week's Rivals Report, so be sure to subscribe. Many of our viewers aren't subscribed, and you may miss out on some of the latest info from the Rivals esports scene. We're here every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be here to bring you all the action from Ignite Stage 2 as it progresses. While Ignite has been gearing up to get started once again, the Season 3 Marvel Rivals Championship has been running in the background for a couple of weeks now. The final rounds are coming your way this weekend, so we wanted to help you gear up to watch the action unfold between some of the game's top factions. We start with a mind-blowing match between Team Nemesis and Ego Death, a rematch after Ego defeated Nem back in the Stage 1 playoffs. We got an insane burn in T'Challa for map number 1, a brutal tug-of-war that Ego Death managed to swing their way 2 times in a row. The pendulum swung back on map 2, with Nemesis picking up a commanding domination win. Ego Death had an insane hold on defense on Midtown for map 3, but would lose a near endless war of attrition in the end. Match point now as we move to Central Park, and the pressure was ultimately just too much for Ego Death. They weren't able to make enough progress on offense, and Nemesis ended this series in 4. A new team in Dubai Macho went to war with the new Cafe squad, Cafe Rose. In spite of a low frag count, Cafe Rose managed to hold Dubai to just a single point on Yggdrasil path, though Rose themselves were stopped short of the first checkpoint. They returned fire in a 17-minute endurance round on Hall of Dajalia, fighting back hard and eking out a 3-2 win. Dubai took the wheel back on Burn and T'Challa, with Wizard Dread going wild on the Venom this map. Cafe Rose would bounce back and deliver a shutout on Midtown, and it all boiled down to a final round on Araco. Collins Emma Frost came in clutch on this final round, and after a 25 elim game, Dubai Matcha emerged the victors, though they were far from unscathed. The final round of double elimination for the Americas kicks off on September 6th and is pretty stacked. Both upper bracket matches of Dark Zero versus Dreamland and Nemesis versus Noir are worth a watch. Shikigami has a matchup with Dubai Matcha in the lower bracket, and Intergalactic looks to keep their lower bracket run alive against Atlanta PXG as well. Looking at the EMEA side of the MRC, we've had several Ignite caliber matchups across the board, but let's take a look at a future Stage 2 matchup between Zero Tenacity and newcomer Ignite team Dawncore. This was a fight for survival in the lower bracket, one that Dawncore would win map 1 on in a huge opening stunner. Zero Tenacity would get on the gas after that, with Smash Nez's Psylocke helping to lead the charge to a map 2 win on Symbiotic Surface. And a heartbreaker of a map 3 for Dawncore here as well, though they managed to call their way to 2 points. Z10 made quick work of finishing off Dawncore on Spider Islands, an under 6-minute map that allowed them to end this series in 4. And let's look at one last round 11 war in the EMEA MRC, as Think Twice attempted to rise to the challenge against Insomnia. A potential big upset in the making here, as Think Twice handily took the opener on Midtown for themselves. Insomnia's Twizzy came in clutch on Map 2, picking up 36 elims and 18 finals on Human Torch as Insomnia evened out the score. The momentum they built in that second map helped carry them onto an intense and highly contested Map 3 win as well. Think Twice's JJM went absolutely wild on Mantis, picking up the most elims and a pentakill, but even that wasn't enough to stop Insomnia's roll. With one more insane torch game from Twizzy on Map 4, that was enough to seal the deal and send Insomnia onto the top 8. And that's a very competitive top 8 as well, with Choppity and All Business facing off, along with Virtus Pro versus Alcacia in the upper bracket. The lower bracket has a match between new teams FaZe and the Vicious EU, and a match between two Ignite competitors in Insomnia versus Zero Tenacity. Both the NA and EMEA MRCs will be decided this coming weekend, so stay tuned for an in-depth results breakdown on next week's Rivals Report. And the competitive Rivals action doesn't stop at the MRC, as the Valhalla Order was busy this past weekend putting on the first part of finals of the Vanguardian League Season 3 tournament. Past and present Ignite competitors collided with some newcomer teams as the top 8 squads were pitted against each other for a piece of the more than $1,300 prize pool. Upper and lower bracket finals, along with the grand finals, will be played out on Friday, September 5th. But before that, let's take a look at what went down in the first top 8 matches. We had a major rematch between two Ignite competitors as Intergalactic looked for revenge against FlyQuest. Things were looking out of this world for Intergalactic on Midtown as they started off with a strong hold, almost stopping FlyQuest just short of the first checkpoint. But Fly won a big team fight, got their time refresh, and ran the payload all the way to the end of the map. After a brutal defense from FlyQuest, Intergalactic were already one map down. And Hell's Heaven was a bloodbath for the former Shroud X squad as well, with FlyQuest shutting them out completely and walking away with a clean 2-0 that sent Fly to the upper bracket finals against Dark Zero. After they too were defeated by FlyQuest in an earlier upper bracket match, Shikigami were in a fight for survival in the lower bracket against Ether. But no Shiki Slingshot needed for this matchup either, as the former Ignite team would find everything they needed to make this a winning effort from the very start. They handed Ether a brutal shutout on Yggdrasil Path, clearing the map for themselves and stopping Ether from hitting a single checkpoint. They then moved on to Hell's Heaven, which must have felt like hell for Ether as Shikigami picked up both capture points and ended the series in 2. One more highlight match here, this time it's Project Bluelock versus Ilani Wind. Bluelock has recently announced that the roster is splitting up, meaning this is one of the last matches we'll see from them. It was a valiant effort by Bluelock on Yggdrasil Path, with Ilani Wind clearing the map first. They fought for every step they could take, but Ilani just had them too locked down for them to catch up, and Bluelock dropped map 1 2-3. Hell's Heaven was yet again hell for Project Bluelock, as Ilani Wind delivered them a complete shutout and sent Bluelock down into the lower bracket. As for the rest of the bracket, only 6 teams survived this weekend's carnage. The lower bracket quarter and semifinals will be played throughout the week and won't be broadcast, but the Valhalla Order will be live this Friday to bring you the upper and lower bracket finals along with the grand finals. FlyQuest and Dark Zero will get a rematch after the insane matchup between them just a couple weeks ago, but you'll have to tune into VGL live this weekend to see how it goes down. And finally this week, our Community Spotlight segment is back. A couple weeks ago, we introduced the HyperX Arena and their Infinite Clash tournament series to you. This time, we're taking a deep dive into one of the newer EMEA teams on the competitive scene, and one that's just signed with an org. This is Fragging Friends, the roster formerly known as Groot FN. Groot FN got their start from some humble beginnings, initially forming as a group of friends looking for a bit of friendly competition in the UK's National Student Esports Tournament, or NSE. But as FRG's Treason told me, they quickly realized there may have been more than just a good time in the team's future.
And it started out as just being a little bit of fun on a Sunday, but eventually it turned serious as we managed to win NSE without losing a single match.
From there, Groot FN threw their hat into the MRC ring, where they managed to clock a top 24 finish back in Season 2. Though they've gone through some roster changes and a recent acquisition by the org Fragging Friends, the goals of enjoying the game together and continually aiming higher and higher still remain a core part of the team's identity. But what exactly goes into preparing a faction of friends to make the move into the Tier 2 esports space?
For new teams, obviously scrimming a lot tends to help, tends to be a really good thing to do. You've got to trial new team comps, you've got to play new heroes, new characters at these top levels when you're playing in scrims.
They've had their fair share of lumps given to them in scrims by the likes of Alcacia, and no doubt have crossed paths with some highly competitive teams in their MRC and community tournament runs. Though the heat of the matches can get a bit overbearing, that doesn't stop this group of university friends from enjoying their time together.
We even have like Rolo, who likes to blast Moist Critical videos over the mic. He thinks we can't hear him, but we can, and it's really quite loud. When we get into a game, the spawn doors are about to open, and we comm the 3-2-1 fighting. that's when we're locked in and we're ready to play.
From college friends to collegiate champions and now to fragging friends, the group crew has certainly been through quite a bit together. FRG is looking to grow with them as well. The org is still expanding, having started in other esports like Valorant and Rocket League, but have finally dove into the Rivals world with the Groot FN signing. FRG looks to provide opportunities for anyone interested, and these friends have decided to band together under that umbrella as they pursue their next goal of becoming the top team in the Tier 2 scene. For more about their org and their new Rivals squad, be sure to check out their website, X account, and Discord server as well. As always, links are in the description. Well, that's all for this week's Rivals Report. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest in Marvel Rivals Esports. And be sure to follow me on other platforms including Twitch, X, and TikTok. And if you're looking to break into Rivals Esports yourself, look no further than Engage. They're an organization that looks to empower esports players through event hosting and production. They're also the minds behind some Rivals community tournaments like the Chronovium Cup and the Rivals Grassroots Weekly. For all things Engage, keep it tuned to their website at engage.gg. I've been Diatonic, you've been amazing, and I'll see you in game.